I ain't gonna lie, man. It's 2026. Can't none convince me that LeBron is not the best player in the ever. He's not the best. How's he not the best player ever? He's done too much, bro. He's 40, doing more than most did back when y'all GOAT was playing. Definitely was doing more than him at 40. Like if you're a Mike fan. Comment if you're a LeBron fan. And then do the opposite after. They finna be like, skip to 50 seconds in bro video. It's finna be Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague and everything on bro. Pretty sure this year all of them was all-stars too. Get dog walked, swept by one person, bro. Tristan Thompson was the second best player on the team, getting offensive rebounds. That's it.
Jordan versus LeBron. LeBron versus Jordan. It's a debate that has captured the public's attention for the last several years, especially after this moment in 2016, when LeBron James beat the Golden State Warriors to win the third championship of his career.
Nigga beat Steph and think he a GOAT all of a sudden. I remember he said, this is a championship that made you feel like you a GOAT. That's because you beat the real GOAT. Yeah, I'm on that. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. I got Steph 3 all time. Behind these two, of course.
In LeBron's own words,
that one right there made me the greatest player of all time. That's what I felt. Reasons. I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
But did it? Is everything since that moment simply icing on LeBron's cake? Or is LeBron destined to finish his career in Michael Jordan's shadow? We've all heard the arguments from LeBron supporters.
He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more durable.
And from Jordan supporters.
Michael Jordan was merely 6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals.
But the GOAT debate isn't as simple as the pundits make it seem. There are a number of factors relevant in determining the greatest basketball player of all time. In fact, I would say there are 5 things that really matter when determining the GOAT of any sport. These criteria are, in no particular order, accomplishments, longevity, winning, statistics, and what we'll refer to in this video as
accomplishments, longevity, winning, statistics, and the eye test. Okay, I like he added the eye test. The eye test. That gives me hope for this video.
The eye test.
Yeah.
And to be the GOAT, you don't need to be the best in any specific category, but you need to be pretty good across the board. So simply winning 7 championships, like Robert Horry did, isn't enough to get you into the conversation. When we finish with this video, it'll be plainly obvious that one guy comes out on top. But before we get started, I want to clarify that this is not a comparison of legacies. It's about who was the better basketball player. If we were talking about legacies, Jordan's is nearly untouchable. Not only did he lead basketball to global popularity, he helped transform Nike into an empire, changed the way players played and how they dressed, and he even made it cool for guys to be bald. And while those things certainly contribute to MJ's iconic status, they don't make him a better player on the court. So let's evaluate the criteria that matter, and we'll start with individual accomplishments. Take a look. Jordan had more regular season MVPs, twice as many finals MVPs, 9 more scoring titles, and several more selections to the NBA's all-defensive team, including once being named Defensive Player of the Year. LeBron has more All-Star appearances, but that's largely due to his having played more seasons. In fact, when taking into account retirements and major injuries, Jordan essentially played 13 seasons compared to 17 seasons for LeBron, making Jordan's significant lead in accomplishments all the more impressive. And that's to say nothing of MJ's brilliant college career, which saw him twice named All-American and once awarded College Player of the Year, at a time when the country's best players actually went to college. So regardless of whether you're a LeBron fan or MJ fan, you have to give the accomplishments checkmark to Jordan. The second criteria in our GOAT analysis is longevity.
I don't have to do anything, sir. Bro.
And this one is also a no-brainer, but this time in favor of LeBron. Not only has LeBron played more seasons in the league, but he's had a longer peak than Jordan. Jordan's peak lasted about 10 years, whereas LeBron's peak has lasted 16 years and is still going.
That's
and he's
it?
been incredibly durable during that time, missing significant time to injury only in 2019. That said, the claim that LeBron has been much more durable than Michael has been a bit overblown. Consider that Jordan played in at least 80 regular season games 11 times in his career, including all 82 games an incredible 9 times. Compare that to LeBron, who played in at least 80 regular season games just twice, and in all 82 games just once. So both LeBron and Jordan get high marks for their durability. But durability aside, the bottom line is that LeBron has sustained his level of excellence for a much longer period of time than Jordan, which puts the longevity checkmark squarely in LeBron's corner. That brings us to the third GOAT criteria, winning. As we all know, Jordan won 6 championships.
Okay, we know Jordan won 6 championships. LeBron won 4 and he went to 10 straight finals. Oh, well, but he lost. He played the best team of all time. 5 of these, mind you. And then the other ones, he either won or it was just like, tough shot. Tough shot.
Championships.
You know?
LeBron has won 3. Jordan is 6-0 in the NBA Finals. LeBron is 3-6. Yes, LeBron has made the finals 9 times compared to only 6 times for Jordan.
9
but let's
straight.
not pretend that making the finals is the same thing, or even close to the same thing, as winning a title. Take a prime example from another sport, the Buffalo Bills. They're the only team in NFL history to appear in 4 consecutive Super Bowls. But is there a single player or fan of that team that wouldn't trade all 4 of those appearances for just 1 Super Bowl win? Frankly, talk to any fan whose team lost the season's final game and ask them how they felt afterward. Almost universally, their feelings are of sadness, anger, and disappointment. And that's just the fans. For players, those feelings are only magnified. Listen to Charles Barkley talk about losing in the NBA Finals.
And I was just in shock when it was over because I had to.
But they ain't have to deal with social media. Nothing. They just go home and can forget about it. Might read a newspaper. But it's like, you know, now you hear it on social media. You got people like me that's going to go on there and make a TikTok about you losing or winning or both. You know, like it's bad out here.
I was frustrated because I couldn't wheel my team past Michael and the Bulls. And it, first of all, I don't think I've ever gotten over it, number one. But that was traumatic, and it's painful.
So we can all stop with this false equivalence between winning the championship and finishing runner-up. In the words of Herm Edwards,
you play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Now back to Jordan and LeBron. As mentioned, on basketball's biggest stage, the NBA Finals, Jordan was 6-0. LeBron was 3-6. And frankly, that doesn't even show how lopsided their records really are. In terms of individual finals games, Jordan was 24-11. LeBron is 18-31. And that's because in 4 of his 6 finals losses, LeBron's team hasn't even been competitive. Twice he got swept, and 2 other times he lost 4-1. That includes being on the wrong side of the 2 most lopsided finals by
But
more.
it should also, his teams not even being competitive and they made it to the finals, it should count against something too. Like it should count for something. Like, okay, LeBron is bringing these trash teams to the NBA finals at least. He's a once in a generational player. You're not gonna have 2 well, besides Stephen Curry, but you're not gonna have 2 players in the NBA at the same time that can do exactly that. Bring a box of bricks to the finals. You just won't, bro. Maybe even when Kobe was in the league, could do it. Other than that, that's it.
Of loss in NBA history. Of course, LeBron fans will tell you that the only reason for LeBron's poor finals record is that his competition was so tough. Ironically, some of these same fans criticized Jordan for losing early in his career to a Celtics team stacked with 5 Hall of Famers, and they conveniently gloss over the fact that LeBron reached the finals so many times in part because the competition in his own conference was so weak. During the vast majority of his career, LeBron played in what many dubbed the Leastern Conference because the East was so much weaker than the West. On the other hand, during Jordan's playing days, the East was generally considered the stronger conference, as Jordan had to battle through hard-fought rivalries against the Bad Boy Pistons, Patrick Ewing's Knicks, the Shaq Penny-led Magic, and Reggie Miller's Pacers. That said, if you want to blame LeBron's failure in the finals on the level of his competition...
They just gassing the old stuff. We could say DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry's Raptors. Make it sound good. The 4 All-Stars on the Atlanta Hawks that he swept. Like, we keep making this, we try to make it sound so good. The Giannis and Jabari Parker-led Bucks. Nugget, what?
I won't argue with you, but let's also not blow it out of proportion.
The Jimmy
If
Butler and Carlos Boozer-led
finals
Bulls.
opponents, you'll see that LeBron's finals opponents averaged 60.8 wins per season, whereas Jordan's finals opponents averaged 61.2 wins per season. So as it turns out, both players face stiff competition in the finals. But a big reason we don't hold the 93 Suns, the 96 Sonics, or the 98 Jazz in the same regard as some of LeBron's finals opponents is because, unlike LeBron's adversaries, Jordan's opponents never actually won the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Which goes to my original point, that the difference between winning the title and finishing runner-up is huge. And the reason those teams never won the title? This guy. Look, I'm not trying to say that Jordan's opponents were as good as the Warriors teams that LeBron faced 4 times in the finals.
Real go,
the
right
truth
now.
is that Jordan never played a juggernaut quite like that. But there's a pretty good reason for that. Jordan's Bulls were the juggernaut. They were the team winning 70-plus games. They were the team with the target on their back every year. And as the Warriors showed us, that's not an easy place to be. As great as the Warriors were, they were never able to string together 3 consecutive championships. Jordan's Bulls did it twice. So what's the greater achievement? Beating the juggernaut or being the juggernaut? Or to be more specific, beating the juggernaut 1 time out of the 4 times you faced them? Or being the juggernaut year after year after year? And then doing it again year after year after year? There's no doubt that LeBron's victory over the 73-win Warriors was the highlight of his career. But it's not the first time that an underdog has won the championship, and there actually have been much bigger underdogs who ended up winning the title. But how many times have we seen a player lead?
Come on, gang. Don't. Like, yes, but no. Because, come on, gang. At the end of the day, okay, maybe bigger underdogs, but at the end of the day, bro, they beat a team with the best record ever.
Team to 6 championships in 8 years. Prior to Jordan's Bulls, only Bill Russell's Celtics ever accomplished that feat in the NBA, when they incredibly won 11 championships in 13 seasons. However, back then, there was an average of less than 10 teams in the league, and only a couple rounds of playoffs, so it was considerably easier to win a title. And no player, not even Bill Russell, ever had a run of winning 25 of 26 playoff series, as Michael Jordan did. And Michael's pattern of winning goes beyond the NBA. Let's not forget that Jordan has never won anything but gold in the Olympics, and he also earned an NCAA championship, in which he hit the first of 2 iconic championship-winning shots in his career. All that is to say, when it comes to winning, the checkmark clearly goes to Jordan. On to the 4th GOAT criteria, statistics. This one is a bit more complicated. I mean, how do you statistically evaluate 2 players who played in different eras under different rules at different positions? One way
yanking them
is to
boys,
simply look
though.
at the
I ain't
8
gonna
traditional
lie.
statistics of basketball.
Sheesh.
Points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and turnovers. And we'll focus on per game stats rather than cumulative stats, since cumulative stats such as total career points and total career assists really speak to longevity, which is already its own category of the GOAT analysis. Per game stats, on the other hand, is more of an apples to apples comparison. So looking at the 8 traditional stats, we see that Jordan leads LeBron in 5 of them: points per game, steals per game, blocks per game, free throw percentage, and fewer turnovers. LeBron leads in the other 3, assists per game, rebounds per game, and field goal percentage. But that's a pretty simplistic way of looking at statistics. What if we instead turn to analytics? Probably the most well-known analytics stat is player efficiency rating, or PER for short. This metric was created by respected basketball analyst John Hollinger to give an overall rating to a player's performance based on traditional stats like the ones we just mentioned. Jordan has led the league in PER 7 times, LeBron 6 times. Jordan has finished.
So basically, they're trying to say Michael Jordan is better than LeBron still by like a hair or two. That's basically what I'm getting from all this video right now.
Top 3 in PER 10 times, LeBron 9 times. In fact, Jordan has the highest career PER in both the regular season and the playoffs. Another popular analytics stat is win shares. Jordan has led the league in win shares 8 times, LeBron 5 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in win shares 11 times, LeBron 6 times. And when it comes to win shares per 48 minutes, Jordan has the highest career rating in both the regular season and the playoffs. What about box plus minus? Until recently, LeBron was actually ahead of Jordan in career box plus minus. But after the 2017 season gave Russell Westbrook the greatest single-season box plus minus in history by a wide margin, the architect of box plus minus realized that the stat was fundamentally flawed. So he made some changes to improve its formula. As a result, Michael Jordan now has the highest career box plus minus in both the regular season and the playoffs. And lastly, what about value over replacement player, which on its face seems to favor LeBron James? Well, value over replacement player is a cumulative stat, and as previously noted, cumulative stats speak more to longevity than they do game-to-game dominance. That said, according to value over replacement player, Jordan owns 6 of the 9 greatest individual seasons ever played. And on a per-game basis, MJ's career rating in value over replacement player is the highest of all time in both the regular season and the playoffs. Are you noticing a theme here? Not only does Jordan beat LeBron in every ratable analytics stat, he consistently ranks as the best ever across the board. Before we move on from analytics, I want to mention a lesser-known stat called game score, another brainchild of John Hollinger. Game score measures a player's performance in a single game, so it won't tell us who's had the better career, but it does provide insight into who's had the greatest games. Now, we only have game score stats since 1983, so you won't see any mentions of Wilt Chamberlain here. That said, of the 100 highest game scores ever recorded, incredibly 19 of them belong to Michael Jordan. In other words, nearly 1 out of every 5 of the best.
They almost put me to sleep with this. Shut up! Mike ain't better, bro. I'm sorry, bro. He's just not better, bro. Like, Brian passed him a little while ago. That's just what it is. Brian fans gotta get, Jordan fans just gotta get over it, bro.
Single game performances over the last 4 decades has been by MJ. That includes the highest game score of all time for Jordan's 69.18 rebound masterpiece. Comparatively, LeBron has had only 3 of the top 100 game scores. When discussing the GOAT, Nick Wright is fond of asking this question.
The aliens come down. You have 1 game to save humanity. Who's your first pick in the history of the world?
Well, Nick, I think we have our answer. Now that I've finished drowning you in numbers, let's be real. Hardly anyone watching this video knows how to calculate PER, win shares, box plus minus, value over replacement player, or game score. And why should you? This is basketball, not Good Will Hunting. So let's go back to the traditional stats that we all know and understand. But this time, let's add context to them. What do I mean by context? Well, some positions are simply better than others at racking up certain stats. Let's take rebounding as an example. In a vacuum, if we simply compare the number of rebounds per game of Brook Lopez and Jason Kidd, we might think that Lopez was the better rebounder. The truth is, relative to their positions, Lopez is statistically one of the worst rebounding centers in NBA history, whereas Kidd is statistically one of the best rebounding guards in NBA history. But even a poor rebounding center can grab more rebounds than a great rebounding guard solely by virtue of their roles on the court. So it makes sense that, to understand the context of a player's stats, we should compare them to the respective positions that they played. When comparing LeBron James to the other small forwards who have played at least 500 NBA games, this is where he ranks. Overall, that's pretty impressive. Now let's see how Jordan compares to all shooting guards who have played at least 500 NBA games. As good as LeBron is compared to other small forwards, Jordan is on another level when compared to other shooting guards. He's darn near the top of every major statistical category, and there isn't a single category where LeBron is better than MJ relative to his position, other than assists. So to sum up statistics, whether comparing traditional stats or analytics, And especially when judging these players in the context of the positions they played, Jordan has a noticeable edge over LeBron. As such, we have to give the check mark to Jordan. And that takes us to the last category in our GOAT analysis, the eye test. And to be clear, by eye test, I don't mean which of these players is bigger, faster, or jumps higher. None of that is relevant unless we're having a track and field competition. And frankly, if physical measurables mattered, then George Murasan would be in the GOAT conversation. No, what I mean by the eye test is, if you sat an average basketball fan in front of a TV to watch a player in action, what would he notice that the player is and is not great at? Thankfully, I happen.
That just looked like the Dahmer movie when he had them in a room, bro. I don't know that is what it's from, but that remind me of had him watching the thing on the TV.
To be an average basketball fan, and I've had the privilege of watching both LeBron and Jordan during their playing days. So unlike a lot of my fellow YouTubers, I haven't merely relied on highlight videos. Here's what my eyes told me when I saw Michael Jordan play, particularly during his playing days with the Chicago Bulls.
Nice
he was the best offensive player in the game. He was arguably the best defensive player in the game. He had the best mid-range game. He was the best finisher at the rim. He had the best post-up game, which is incredible considering most players who dominated the post were big men. He was widely considered the most clutch player in the game. He was regarded by opponents as the fiercest competitor on the court. He was regarded by teammates as the hardest worker in practice. And when all was said and done, amongst the other stars of his generation, he was the greatest winner. Now, when you're playing against the elite of the elite athletes of the world, to be the best at any one of those things is pretty remarkable. But to be the best at all of them? I tell you, it's impossible, but for the fact that we saw Michael Jordan do it. And when it comes to the GOAT debate, that's the biggest hurdle facing LeBron. He's basically...
I ain't gonna lie, Mike was swaggy though. He was swaggy with it. I ain't gonna lie. He pulling this out just because, like, you know, like, there's people that do that, don't get me wrong. He's swaggy with it. I ain't gonna lie.
It's impossible, but for the fact that we saw Michael Jordan do it. And when it comes to the GOAT debate, that's the biggest hurdle facing LeBron. He's basically being compared to a guy who was great at everything and practically had no weaknesses. Seriously, judging by the eye test, what's the worst thing we could say about Michael Jordan's game? Probably that he wasn't a very good three-point shooter. Jordan shot 33% from beyond the arc in an era when the average player also shot 33%. So when it came to three-point shooting...
I ain't gonna lie, man. If we talking, Michael Jordan will be able to shoot threes. I don't want nobody to talk. He gonna love the midi. He gonna love to shoot a three, too. Y'all tweaking.
He wasn't good. He wasn't bad. He was just average. But remember that Michael played in an age when the three-point shot wasn't a big part of the game. During Jordan's years, teams averaged only 9.5 three-point attempts per game, and Michael himself attempted less than 2 threes per game. And if being an average three-point shooter is a weakness of Michael's game, well, then we also have to call it a weakness of LeBron's game. The difference is that LeBron plays in an era where the three-point shot is a huge part of the game. During the years in which LeBron played, teams attempted on average over 21 threes per game, and LeBron himself averaged 4.3 three-point attempts per game, or 2.5 times as many as Jordan. Despite the increased emphasis on threes, LeBron's career shooting percentage from beyond the arc is only a hair better than Jordan, at 34%. And it's actually slightly below his peers, who averaged 35% from three during his era. But to reiterate, being an average three-point shooter was by far the worst part of MJ's game. For LeBron, it's not even close. LeBron, in fact, has 4 major weaknesses as a basketball player, each of which is readily apparent to anyone who has actually watched him play. First, he's not a good free throw shooter. For his career, LeBron has shot around 73.5% from the free throw line, which is pretty poor.
Still got number 1 points at all time. Still be Will Chamberlain record. Been past Mike. And he's going to just keep setting the record higher and higher. So it's just like, imagine if he did make the free throws.
As he does. In fact, many analysts point out that at the end of games, LeBron shies away from driving to the basket because he's afraid of being sent to the line. I don't know whether that's true, but what I do know is that the odds of LeBron hitting 2 consecutive free throws is statistically not much better than a coin flip. Jordan, on the other hand, shot a solid 83.5% from the free throw line during his career, and MJ never shied away from contact at the end of games. LeBron's second weakness is that he's an inconsistent defender. Sure, he's had some years where he was elite defensively, which is evidenced by his numerous
But if he kicked that ball, y'all would have been replaying that as a highlight for his career, though. It's give and take.
of games. LeBron's second weakness is that he's an inconsistent defender. Sure, he's had some years where he was elite defensively, which is evidenced by his numerous selections to the NBA's all-defensive team, but he's also had several years where he's practically been a liability on the defensive end. Compare that to MJ, who during his Bulls days was a consistently elite defender. In fact, Jordan is the only player to rank in the top 5 amongst all guards in both steals per game and blocks per game for his career. Additionally, Michael led his position in defensive win shares practically every year that he played for the Bulls, an incredible 10 times. LeBron, comparatively, has led his position in defensive win shares on just 4 occasions, and in 5 of his last 7 seasons, he didn't even crack the top 10 at his position in defensive win shares. Now, some will excuse LeBron's recent fall-off on the defensive end as a byproduct of his resting on defense so that he can have more energy on offense, and we can debate the merits of that strategy. But resting on defense is not something Michael Jordan was ever accused of doing. Heck, even as a 40-year-old, he was busting his tail on the defensive end. But what about the notion that LeBron's been the more versatile defender? LeBron supporters will argue that he can guard positions 1 through 5 on the court, such as when he guarded Derrick Rose for stretches in the 2011 playoffs. But LeBron's guarding the opposing team's point guard or center isn't something that happens very often. In fact, during his career, LeBron has spent less than 5% of his total minutes guarding the opposing players 1 or 5. So the versatility argument is highly exaggerated. And look, when it comes to versatility, Hometown Buffet may have a more versatile menu than Spago. That doesn't make it a better restaurant. LeBron's third weakness is that he's not a very good shooter. And this is a pretty significant flaw for someone claiming to be the GOAT. I mean, shooting the ball is the quintessential skill in the game of basketball. It's the part of the game that everyone practices, whether on the playground, at the YMCA, or in the NBA. Now, some people will contend that LeBron is actually a better shooter than Jordan because he has a better career field goal percentage. And yes, LeBron's career field goal percentage is 50.4% compared to Jordan's 49.7%.
Y'all putting me to sleep with this video. I am not convinced. Give me Bron. Sorry, Michael Jeffrey James fans. I'm talking about James. Jordan, see? LeBron to go, man.
Get nasty, impress me, baby girl.